Rome in 1648 stands as a city of divine splendor and mortal terror, where the soaring domes of the Baroque era pierced the sky even as the plague's shadow darkened its streets. A metropolis that had endured empires, invasions, and schisms, now teetering on the edge of artistic triumph and apocalyptic plague. But beneath the grandeur of St. Peter's Basilica and the fountains of Bernini lies a ghost city of quarantined alleys, flickering torches, desperate processions, and mass graves, a world almost entirely erased by time, forgetting, and relentless urban renewal. Just decades before the Enlightenment's rational dawn, Rome wasn't defined solely by grand tours, papal pomp, or counter-Reformation zeal, but by the grim, jagged silhouette of the Seven Hills against a sky heavy with the acrid smoke of pyres and the incense of endless litanies. In 1648, Rome was a city gripped by transformation's razor edge, a precarious balance between rebirth and ruin. It was shedding its medieval scars from the devastating sack of 1527 by Landsknechts, when Lutheran mercenaries had pillaged the city for months, leaving it a depopulated husk. Now, under popes like Urban VIII and Innocent X, it embraced the Counter-Reformation's opulent rebirth, with artists like Bernini and Borromini reshaping its skyline. Yet this ascent wasn't serene or inevitable. It was a brutal clash of faith, fever, fountains, and foreign wars. In this AI reconstruction, we peel back the layers of Renaissance stone and papal marble to reveal a vivid tapestry of Baroque palaces rising amid plague carts rumbling through narrow vicoli, the Tiber's murky corpse-laden flow, and fevered pilgrims clutching rosaries. Watch closely, for some landmarks we'll visit: humble plague chapels, scaffolded masterpieces, vanished palazzi, vanished into oblivion, their sites now buried under modern traffic circles, tourist traps, or anonymous apartment blocks, shocking in their utter modern invisibility. If you enjoy this deep dive into historic cities, subscribe and comment below with suggestions for the next city, era, or landmark you'd love to see reconstructed. By 1648, Rome's population hovered around 140,000, a mere shadow of its ancient millions under Trajan, yet a bustling hub compared to the depopulated ruin of the post-sack centuries, now halved again by the plague that claimed over 15,000 souls in precursor waves, foreshadowing the 1656 catastrophe. This panoramic drone view captures a city in fervent, feverish renewal. The radial streets of papal planners like Sixtus V radiate from the Vatican like spokes of divine geometry, but plague cordons, crude barriers of carts and guards, carve grim, irregular lines through the Centro Storico, isolating infected rioni. The city remains vertical in spirit, with bell towers, obelisks shipped from Egypt, and emerging domes piercing the perpetual haze of wood smoke and miasma. But gaze toward the Capitoline Hill on the right. That's the ancient seat of power before it became a polished museum complex. Today, it's marble museums, selfie sticks, and gelato vendors. But in 1648, it hosted feverish Senate meetings amid bonfires of the infected, where senators in slashed doublets debated quarantines while coughing servants emptied plague pots. Baroque villas and cardinals' residences climbed these slopes, offering elite views to the Alban Hills and distant sea, soon shrouded in the yellow miasma rising from mass graves. No ancient aqueducts ran fully dry yet, painstakingly restored by popes, but the tallest structures were the unfinished colonnades of St. Peter's, Bernini's ambitious arms embracing the piazza like a mother's hug, and the gilded spires of Jesuit churches thrusting skyward in militant piety. The air was thick, a cloying mix of incense from endless processions mingling with the putrid stench of unburied dead drifting from mass graves beyond the Aurelian walls, where friars in hooded robes shoveled lime over stacks of bodies. But don't mistake the holy aura for peace or piety alone. The streets below pulsed with a feverish, frantic energy, merchants hawking amulets, flagellants lashing bare backs on the brink of total collapse.
Ancient wonders frozen in time come alive through warm golden light and subtle motion, preserving every historic detail in retro 1970s cinematic glow. This view descends to the historic heart, Piazza Navona, once the Stadium of Domitian. For centuries, this was Rome's living room, site of raucous markets, spectacles, and executions. Even in 1648, as Baroque fountains began to gush under Innocent X's patronage, a deathly pall hung over it like a shroud. Just years into Bernini's Fontana dei Quattro Fiumi construction, the area brimmed with scaffolded tritons, obelisks, and muscular river gods amid whispers of contagion from workers. You see the nascent masterpiece rising amid the dust and debris, a hydraulic marvel meant to awe pilgrims and rival pagan antiquity, built atop the ancient stadium where chariot races once thundered to cheering mobs. Scaffolding clings to the stone like desperate fingers, masons in leather aprons hammering away despite feverish eyes. Notice the architectural stir around it. Humble adobe-like palazzi from the Renaissance era yield to exuberant stuccoed Baroque facades dripping with putti angels and garlands. Life was a desperate mosaic of devotion and dread. Jesuit confessors in somber black robes hearing final confessions, Spanish grandees in starched ruffs and feathered hats bargaining for indulgences. Jewish merchants herded into the nearby Ghetto Nuovo, cramped walled enclave of tension, slowly pressured by papal edicts forcing conversions amid the dying. Plague doctors in eerie beak masks stuffed with herbs against miasma prowled the labyrinthine trust of airy alleys, lancing buboes with lancets. To the east lay the ghetto, its gates locked tighter under plague paranoia, where Hasidic chants mingled with cries of the afflicted. This cultural friction echoes Rome's eternal layering of civilizations, even as anti-Semitic riots simmered, blaming well poisoners for the pestilence. Water was the lifeline in this hilly, Tiber-downed basin, and in 1648, mastering it rivaled papal miracles. Before 19th century pipes, Rome drew from ancient aqueducts like the Aqua Virgo, meticulously restored by popes, threading through the city like the veins of the eternal city itself. This reconstruction reveals the dramatic Aqua Paola cascading from Janiculum Hill, a Renaissance rebirth by Paul V, feeding Bernini's fountains. But plague made every source suspect, with guards rationing flows. Here's a detail most history books gloss over. The Zampillo keepers, lowly aqueduct guardians often paid more than minor cardinals, controlled the iron gates amid quarantines, deciding who drank clean versus tainted. Why? In fevered times, clean water was salvation from God. Early on, it irrigated the lush Vatican gardens, bursting with exotic plants. By 1648, contaminated ditches bred flies and pestilence, turning fountains into vector pools. We witnessed the grim pivot, from gravity-fed ancient marvels to gated, guarded purity, heralding a sanitary renewal amid waves of death, as papal engineers dreamed of uncontaminated flows. The defining scourge, however, was the plague itself, arriving via Genoese ships from the Levant, echoing the Black Death of 1348. For decades post-sack, Rome had isolated itself behind walls, reliant on pilgrimage revenue and papal bulls for survival. But in 1656, close on 1648's ominous precursor wave, the epidemic exploded catastrophically, though 1648's outbreak already thinned ranks, emptying markets and silencing bells. This image seizes the raw chaos near Campo de' Fiori, processions of flagellants in white hoods whipping through fruit stalls with knotted cords, not just penitents, but the desperate masses seeking divine mercy through blood. It wasn't mere ritualistic theater, it was the inadvertent conduit for contagion, drawing the world, Spaniards fleeing Naples' outbreak, battle-weary Germans from the 30 Years' War, to Rome's plague-swollen gates, swelling the death toll. In the 1640s, Rome branded itself the invincible seat of Catholic renewal, promising Jubilee indulgences to cure body and soul. Thousands flocked despite quarantines, believing the holy city's air, blessed with relics, warded off miasma. The influx sparked a desperate scramble for alms, shelter, and sacraments, shoving the urban poor into fever dens beyond the walls, while elites barricaded in palazzi. Just north of Navona, Via del Corso emerged as the new throbbing artery, lined with flaming torches, confession booths carved like confessionals, and hawkers peddling plague-proof amulets, symbols of Baroque control amid anarchy. But peer skyward, you might glimpse proto-gas lamps flickering in wealthy palazzi, experimental alchemical glows devised by Jesuit scholars to pierce nightly curfews and chase shadows. It was a bold proto-modern bid to defy the plague's enveloping night. Architecture narrated the era's defiance, ornate palazzi with frescoed ceilings by Pietro da Cortona, ousting grim fortified medieval towers. Horse-drawn litters, draped in velvet and crosses, clattered down uneven cobbled lanes, linking Vatican opulence to ghetto despair under the tolling of curfew bells from Castel Sant'Angelo. A scene of a city aping Versailles' splendor amid biblical Armageddon, where cardinals commissioned art while peasants rotted. Yet the misty, olive-clad hills beyond remind us nature and pestilence ruled supreme, the malaria-infested Campagna ever ready to reclaim the herbs. Faith reshaped the periphery too, vast monastic farms that had sustained pilgrims for generations, now subdivided into quarantined orchards and plague fields. The papal granaries were born anew in these desperate years, stocked against siege-like isolation.
This sweeping vista shows the urban fringe, where exuberant Baroque blocks abruptly halt at weathered vineyard walls and plague-crossed fields. This wasn't mere tillage, it was a holy crusade of sustenance, tilled by convict labor. The success of Tiber barge shipments, hauling grain and wine without rot via renewed austere ports, poured fleeting wealth into the church's coffers. These verdant, terraced grids were infrastructure as sacred as aqueducts, painting Rome as heaven's own vineyard in papal propaganda pamphlets, luring fresh pilgrims westward despite the mounting body count and quarantined roads. One of the era's grandest edifices was Palazzo Pamphile on Navona, completed amid Bernini's artistic whirlwind for Innocent X. Erected atop ancient stadium grounds, it rivaled Florence's Medici palaces, its opulent frescoes by Cortona and cascading private fountains signaling unyielding papal might. It hosted clandestine salons, masked balls with courtesans, and strategy sessions, symbolizing the seismic shift from warrior popes like Julius II to artist princes commissioning eternity in stone. But note its splendor contrasted against the rumbling plague cart below, piled with shrouded forms. It embodies the defiant, build through the blight ethos of 17th century Rome, where creation mocked mortality. Tragically, like countless piers, its original intimacy evolved under later accretions, but the spirit lingers only in yellowed canvases, etchings, and Vatican archives. That's why this AI reconstruction is indispensable. It lets us linger in a palace's golden glow that shaped the city's Baroque soul, now a mere echo in faded photos, inventories, and travelers' diaries. By decade's end, the plague's merciless peak would cull tens of thousands more, depopulating Rioni overnight. New quarantines platted beyond Porta Pia. Some ephemeral plague hospitals existed only on speculative maps peddled by opportunist notaries to desperate families. Others fated to evolve into modern suburbs like Prati or the Esquiline expansions. The fervent, incense-veiled herb of old was fading fast, supplanted by a resilient, phoenix-like Baroque powerhouse. These reconstructions reveal the very conception of modern Rome, a city forged in the crucible of recurrent plague, ingenious papal engineering, feverish artistic speculation, and the unbreakable vow of eternal rebirth under the relentless Mediterranean sun. What we see here is the last gasping breath before the polished glow of the 18th century Grand Tour or the revolutionary fire of Risorgimento unification. If you crave Rome's shadowy noir of the 1800s, neon-drenched 1950s, or any other lost epoch,
Drop it in the comments below. Thanks for watching and stepping into history.